Iya, di
jalan ya?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Me too. Do you have a time just a little bit? I have some topic to discuss with you.
Oh, what is the topic about?
Have you been following the news about Indonesia economy lately? I have been reading a lot of financial report recently, and the data is quite fascinating.
A bit, though I easily just skip the headlines. I heard GDP growth has been fairly steady at around 5%, but people are still worried about the rupiah exchange rate. It seems to fluctuate a lot against the US dollar.
Right, the rupiah has been under pressure because of global interest rate, especially politics from the US Federal Reserve. Bank Indonesia keep adjusting its benchmark rate to keep things stable and prevent capital flight. It's a delicate balancing act.
What about inflation? I remember prices going up a lot for basic goods like rice, sugar, and cooking oil a while ago. It really hit my monthly budget.
It's definitely improved compared to a couple of years ago. However, food prices are still highly sensitive to weather anomalies like El Nino and sudden southwest change issue. To stabilize the market, the government has been passing subsidies and conducting market operation to help lower income households.
Would you mind explaining how those subsidies actually reach the right people? Sometimes I worry about corruption or misallocation.
Sorry for sounding overly optimistic, Ryan. You make a very valid point. Detaining target subsidy is hard. First, the government updates the social welfare database. Next, they distribute cash assistance through digital bank account. Finally, they monitor the price cap at local market.
Please tell me if the digital system actually works outside the big cities.
It's a work in progress, but it's getting better. Speaking of a long-term economic strategy, I also heard a lot about downstream nickel industry. Isn't Indonesia trying to move away from just exporting raw materials?
Exactly, the government wants more value-added processing domestically, like turning raw nickel into battery materials instead of just shipping or overseas. It's part of a bigger push to attract massive investment in global EV supply chains.
That makes sense with the global shift toward electric vehicle. When the world demands greening technology, Indonesia has a massive geopolitical advance. Do you think the strategy is actually working?
It's had mixed results so far. Investment has increased significantly, especially from China, but there are growing concerns about environmental impact, water pollution, and whether local communities who live near the smelters are really benefiting.
The classic threat of between rapid industrial growth and environmental sustainability. Look at the environmental reports from Lucia Jones. We definitely need strict regulation. What about small business? So, WMKM is a huge part of the economy, right?
Definitely over 16% of GDP comes from small and medium enterprises, and they employ around 97% of the domestic workforce. The core challenge is helping them access formal financing and digital markets, especially for those located outside Java.
Sounds like there's a lot of both progress and challenge.
That's Indonesia's economy in a nutshell, resilient but with plenty of work still ahead.
Pray for Indonesia.
I wish a good news for our country. I led you see the new graduation requirements posted on the campus portal. I have checked the website 3 times today, and it's officially dynamic.
Which one? There are so many new announcements.
Starting next semester, we need a minimum TOEFL score just to submit our final tests.
Seriously, that's going to cause a massive headache for a lot of students.
Why? I think it's a good standard for graduates.
I honestly don't get why the university is making hard requirement for every single
These research papers, case studies, and textbooks are all in English. If you can read them, you're already lagging behind.
Take someone majoring in local administration or traditional accounting who plans to work in their hometown.
What about them?
Their day-to-day work will be entirely in their native language. Why should they really help us them for a regulatory language test?
Because the world doesn't stop at their hometown boundaries. Look at the corporate landscape.
What do you mean?
Even local companies are expanding, dealing with international vendors, or adopting global software systems.
Not every position requires that, Kayla.
If you can write a professional email in English or participate in a basic Zoom call with overseas client, your career ceiling is going to be incredibly low.
You are looking at this from a strict corporate legal perspective.
Then what's the reality?
In my file, software engineering, yes, documentation is in English. But you know what matter more? Clean code and problem solving.
But they still need to read documentation, right?
True, but that's basic technical jargon. I know brilliant developer who can barely speak a fluent sentence in English, but their programming logic is a world class.
But how do they network? How do they pitch their ideas to international inventors or land a remote job that pays in US dollars?
They can contribute to open source project using basic technical language. They don't need to be full conversational.
Basic jargon only gets you through the door. Effective communication is what keeps you in the room.
Sure, in a perfect world, would you mind listening to my perspective for a second?
Of course, go ahead.
Before we implement such strict rules, we have to look at the disparity among students. Not everyone comes from a background where they had access to high-quality English tutoring before college.
Sorry for neglecting that aspect. I know accessibility is a real issue. However, lowering the standard isn't the answer.
By forcing a high TOEFL benchmark, the university is essentially penalizing students from rural areas or low-income families who excel in their core subject. But started with the language equation, they might have a plenty of talent, but very little money for expensive course. Fair enough. I actually prefer discussing this thing with you rather than just agreeing blindly. I just hope the university offers those free prep classes you mentioned.
Why is that?
Because if my roommate fails his test, I'm the one who has to listen to him complain all semester. Let's grab another coffee.
Definitely, and I'll practice my English by ordering it.